Nymphomaniacs have always been around. There's no denying that. Thus, there's no one precise way to date the beginning of sex craze in human history. But let's try and get as close to the birth of nymphomania as possible. One thing's for sure, by the end of this video, you'll definitely know how to spot a nymphomaniac and what to do with her when you finally meet one. In prehistoric times, the humans' focus was primarily on survival and procreation. The concept of sexual desire, as we understand it today, did not exist in the same form. Sexual activity was likely more driven by biological instincts rather than personal desire or pleasure. Archaeological findings from the Paleolithic era reveal Venus figurines, small statues found across Europe, Asia, and Africa, that depict women with exaggerated sexual characteristics. Cave paintings and other forms of prehistoric art often depict sexual acts, suggesting that sex was a part of everyday life. As most prehistoric societies were likely egalitarian, meaning there were no strict hierarchies or social classes, this would have most probably extended to sexual relationships as well. The term nymphomania derives its roots from ancient Greek mythology, specifically from the nymphs, who were small goddesses associated with nature. The nymphs were known for their beauty and free-spirited nature, often portrayed as young maidens who loved to dance and sing. But these were gods, not humans. A simple Greek woman's sexual behavior was heavily regulated and controlled, and any inconsistency from the norm was said to be of a touch from the gods. Women were expected to be modest and take part in sexual activity as little as possible. Their excessive sexual desire was seen as a sign of moral weakness. And the ancient Greeks' medical theories about nymphomania are absolutely wild. One theory that gained significant traction was the concept of the wandering womb. This theory, by Hippocrates, stated that being overly sexual was due to a displaced uterus within the body. To cure a wandering womb, one was suggested to change their diet or take a bed rest. If that didn't help, more extreme measures were taken into use. For example, fumigation. Fumigation involved the application of foul-smelling substances to the nose and pleasant ones to the vagina to drive the womb back to its proper place. The ancient Greeks also believed in the concept of hysteria, a term derived from the Greek word for uterus. This was a medical condition believed to be exclusive to women, caused by disturbances in the uterus. Symptoms of hysteria included faintness, nervousness, and most importantly, unusual sexual behavior. And while the ancient Greeks brought some clarity to the situation, what better place to explore next than the dark Middle Ages, where around every shady corner there might be some crazy touching going on. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that women's bodies were naturally colder and wetter than men's, making them more affected to certain conditions, such as respiratory ailments, certain types of fever, and an excessive sexual arousal. This concept was rooted in the four humors theory, which proposed that the human body was composed of four basic substances: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. These substances were associated with the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water, and their balance was believed to determine a person's health and temperament. Women, according to this theory, were thought to be dominated by the colder and wetter humors, phlegm and black bile, resulting in their bodies being naturally colder and wetter. Physicians often prescribed treatments aimed at warming and drying the body, such as hot baths and certain herbal remedies or regular sexual intercourse, while others suggested more extreme measures such as bloodletting or surgical interventions. But do not be fooled. Nymphomania was not widely accepted in the Middle Ages, and the overly healthy bathtub treatments were only affordable to higher class. Lower class women who showed excessive sexual desire or behavior akin to what we would now classify as nymphomania were viewed with suspicion and often subjected to harsh punishments. The church, wielding significant influence over societal norms, considered such behavior as sinful and a threat to the moral fabric of society. The primary method of punishment was public shaming, a common practice in medieval times for various crimes. Women accused of excessive sexual behavior were often stripped naked and paraded through the streets, subjected to the mockery and ridicule of their community. In more severe cases, women were sent to asylums where they were subjected to brutal health treatments. By the 18th century, the term nymphomania was coined. The diagnosis of nymphomania was not based on any concrete medical evidence, but rather on subjective observations and moral judgments. Symptoms for this sickness varied widely, from flirtatious behavior to a strong desire for sexual gratification, and even to reading novels which were considered a corrupting influence to the woman's mind. In the same century was born the most well-known nymphomaniac throughout history, Russian Tsar Catherine the Great, who had so many lovers she had to kill her husband to find time for them. She even had a secret room filled with genitalia, adorned furniture to take her partners to. One could even say she was the Russian Dorian Gray of the 18th century. The 19th century brought along with it psychiatry, and along with it, psychiatrists like Richard von Kraft and Sigmund Freud, who had many seriously weird theories about nymphomania. For example, the theory of penis envy. Freud proposed that during the psychosexual development stages, a young girl realizes she lacks the body parts only men have, leading to feelings of inferiority and jealousy towards males. Freud also introduced the term Electra complex to describe a girl's feelings of rivalry with her mother for the affection of her father. This, according to Freud, leads girls to nymphomania. It's important to note that these theories were met with criticism and controversy at the time, with many arguing that they reflected Freud's own biases rather than universal truths about female sexuality. But the 19th century brought along many odd theories about nymphomaniacs, including a breath of fresh air for the ladies who just can't keep it in their pants. One influential theory was that of degeneration, which suggested that certain individuals and families were predisposed to mental and physical decline. This theory was often used to explain nymphomania, with women diagnosed with the condition seen as degenerate and a threat to social order. And just when the ladies thought they'll never get a break, there appeared several critics who challenged the medical and societal understanding of female sexuality. Some physicians argued that nymphomania was not a disease, but a natural variation in sexual desire. These critics also pointed out the double standard in the way male and female sexuality were viewed. While women were diagnosed with nymphomania for displaying excessive sexual desire, men were rarely pathologized for similar behavior. Despite these criticisms, the concept of nymphomania remained influential throughout the 19th century and well into the 20th century. The 1950s also saw a rise in the use of lobotomies to treat various psychiatric conditions, including nymphomania. This insane procedure, which involved damaging the frontal lobes of the brain by hammering a pick into it, was seen as a last resort for treating nymphomania. To think that only 70 years ago they were breaking open the heads of some of the most wonderful people on earth legally. In the 1960s and 70s, the feminist scholars pointed out that there was no equivalent term for nymphomania for men. Not really sure why there's a need for such a word, but sure. Today, we all view it as a part of a normal human society. And why not, after all? It's a free world. Live and let live, right? Be sure to watch all of our documentaries, which should appear on the screen just about now. There's only 2 on the screen, but you can find more from our channel page. Let us know which documentaries you want to see next in the comments section below, and be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. History, but fast.